providers and said how long would it take to have 100,000 GPUs operating coherently in a single location, and we got time frames from 18 to 24 months. So we're like, well, 18 to 24 months, that means losing as a certainty. So the only option was to do it ourselves.
Been waiting for this moment. That xAI's Gigafactory of Compute, the world's largest supercomputer, is to be located in Memphis, Tennessee.
Announced as a done deal, a billionaire and his organization is coming to our city, and we're just finding out after the land has been purchased, after the project has been approved by certain officials, right, who did know.
This is huge. Memphis understands operating at the speed of business.
As a community, we're trying to reach out to people and understand what is xAI. He built it without us even knowing that it was being built.
We had to watch this over X or Twitter.
It's absolutely stunning. How do we not know about this?
According to xAI leadership, the turbines are not being used and are not connected.
Under pressure, xAI claimed it was using less than half of those turbines.
I've talked to the xAI leadership team. There are 35, but there are only 15 that are on. The other ones are stored on the site.
We were given a tour at xAI, looking at the facility. Very impressive, very exciting for Memphis. Their commitment to the community is remarkable.
It's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
I like to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man wants to give us, but God.
It was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes.
It's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
Every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you, and it's frightening.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
Memphis has one of the highest rates of toxic air releases of any American city, and many of its most polluting facilities are in this neighborhood.
Elon, what he did with Memphis is objectively somewhat dirty, but he's also doing it in an area where there's like a bigger natural gas plant right next door and like a wastewater treatment and a garbage dump nearby, right? He's obviously made the world a lot more clean than that one data center.
In just 1 year, xAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
We've shown up today because we've been to too many prisons. Shown up today because we've cried too many tears. We've shown up here today because we're tired, and we have an expectation of the people that we elect and put into place. We expect them to do what is in our best interest, not of Elon Musk. And what we're saying is that stops now.
That's the first time that xAI has publicly addressed the community in any way.
A statement, but again, xAI is committed to meeting the highest standard for emissions. Thank you very much for your time.
He immediately left after reading his script. It's extremely disrespectful.
It's time to start telling the truth. The truth is that xAI, who just ran up out of here, they have no controls that prevent air pollution or decrease air pollution in their factories. None. That's the truth.
Local and state authorities have taken no action against xAI. Running turbines without permits or pollution controls is also a violation of the Clean Air Act.
xAI comes from a culture of Silicon Valley. That culture is go fast and break stuff.
after this hearing, xAI announced it would reduce the number of turbines it's running at Colossus over the next 2 months, but it's also dramatically expanding.
What's happening in Memphis, that is Elon's vision, a technocracy, to be able to do whatever he wants, whatever he chooses, to experiment, to kill, to destroy the environment at the behest of his machines. What that will amount to is a plantation economy for the rest of the world. A desolate wasteland of data centers is to follow.
While there may have been initial pushback to the implementation of AI at the university level, many schools have begun to embrace it. We interviewed students at UNC to see what they had to say about it. We first asked them if they use AI.
Yes. Sometimes I'll use AI resources when I'm studying for a test, when there's a large amount of text I have to go back and review. I'll sometimes use it to help me summarize and get the main ideas that I need for the upcoming test.
I typically use AI to help me study for exams like finals, midterms, etc. And I also use AI to kind of help with better vocabularies or terms that I can use in my writing, or a better sentence structure in my writing as well.
Okay, yes, I use AI. I use ChatGPT, and I use this AI website called Gizmo AI, which basically makes quizzes based off my notes. And then I use it to make quizzes, and sometimes I use it to summarize big readings that I have in classes.
Primarily ChatGPT. Sometimes I'll use the sort of built-in AI feature that comes when you that sort of automatically pops up when you Google something.
I typically use ChatGPT and Google Gemini.
We then asked these students if they felt that there should be any new regulations to the growing industry.
Definitely, yes. AI definitely has some sort of personal data breach when it comes to personal information, especially when your apps track the things that you're interested in, and then it kind of listens to you whenever you're talking to another person, and next thing you know on your phone you'll see something that you were just talking about.
I think that definitely there should be more rules and regulations. I don't think that they should be put in predominantly Black and Latino communities. I think that that's the issue, how much of is the resources is taking from those specific communities, because it's racist. You know what I mean? I would say that I have quite a bit of shame when it comes to using AI, because I know that it uses quite a bit of water, and I also know that it's already well, I kind of just learned about how it gets put in low income areas. I am a low income individual, so knowing that it affects people who look like me, and also people of my community is really I guess shameful. I don't necessarily think that the use of AI is wrong. I just think that it should be more sustainable.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that needs more regulations. Right now, we're sort of seeing a lot of things where AI is accomplishing a lot of things, and then after it's had possibly a negative effect, then sort of regulations and legislation is having to catch up rather than getting ahead of the game. Absolutely, I think as AI expands, and especially we've seen the impact that's had on the job market, I think there definitely needs to be a platform for marginalized voices to be able to speak about their concerns with this technology, how it's changing their livelihood.
Unfortunately, many of these students are correct. And unfortunately, it's only getting worse with the advanced technology that we see today when it comes to AI. We see it a lot in cities like Memphis, but we especially just see it in general so much in the South. We see it growing in Georgia, growing in North Carolina, and in a town like Chapel Hill, where equal access to water for marginalized communities has not always necessarily been a part of its history. But when we see people losing access to clean drinking water, it is frankly quite difficult to not feel bad about using this technology that many companies, many universities that at first were reluctant to implement it are now saying, hey, let's use it. Let's not only use it, let's embrace it. Let's not only embrace it, let's make it better. Let's invest more in it. It's hard to not feel bad, especially when we see that not only is there a clear threat to the environment because of AI, we see a clear indicator that, many times, the people people feeling these effects most are brown, black, or poor. Ultimately, there are many conversations that need to be had in terms of what regulations there need to be for AI, whether that be for the environment or for people of color, for rural communities, for poor communities. There's quite a long way to go. However, we ultimately do not believe that these conversations need to be one of shame. We ultimately simply need to be having these conversations though and really push the needle, because ultimately we only have one planet, and ultimately it is always the same communities who have done the least to harm the environment facing these repercussions the most.